Ladies and gentlemen, before anything great is built, there must be something unseen holding it steady. Just as a mountain stands firm because of the foundation beneath it, a human being cannot rise unless something deeper supports their steps. That deeper thing is belief, not in the world, not in rewards, but in oneself. It is not loud, not something to be announced or displayed. Instead, it is quiet, deep, and powerful. It lives beneath the surface, where no one else can see it. Yet it influences every thought, every action, and every decision. When people struggle or feel lost, they often look for answers in external places. They ask others what to do, they follow advice, they mimic the successful. But they forget to look inwards, ups. If you do not believe in yourself, no amount of guidance will help you. It will only confuse you further. Because without trust in yourself, you won't know which direction is yours. You will hesitate, you will doubt. And when you doubt your own steps, even the right path feels wrong. Self-belief is not about telling yourself you're perfect. It's not about saying, you can do everything. No, it's about saying, whatever comes, I will face it. I may not know everything, but I trust myself enough to figure it out. It's a quiet confidence that remains, even when circumstances change. It is the reason some people remain calm in storms while others panic in silence. It comes slowly with every moment. You choose not to give up. It is built in the silence of the early morning, in the repetition of small practices, in the discipline of returning to your purpose every day. Each time you face a difficulty and choose to keep going, a small part of you grows stronger. Grows stronger. That is belief being built. It is earned through experience, not granted through praise. Many seek to be seen by others. They want recognition, applause, validation. But the person who believes in themselves does not need to be seen. They can walk alone without feeling lonely. They can face failure without feeling defeated. They can act with purpose even when others don't understand. Because their strength is not borrowed, it comes from within. When roots are deep, a tree does not fear the wind. In the same way, when your belief is strong, the opinions of others cannot shake you. The fear of failure cannot paralyze you. The unknown future cannot disturb your peace. You begin to move differently, not to prove anything, but because your path is clear to you. And that clarity only comes when your foundation is solid. In every human being, there exists a voice. It does not shout. It does not compete with the noise of the world. It speaks in silence. It waits. And it never forces. So, this voice lives deep within, beyond the thinking mind, beyond the layers of fear, pride, memory, and desire. It is not conditioned by the past, nor is it anxious about the future. It simply knows. But because it does not scream for attention, most people never hear it. They are too occupied chasing, comparing, reacting, and surviving. They are listening to every voice except the one that truly matters. This voice within is not emotional. It does not flatter, and it does not criticize. It only guides. It does not say what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. And the more the mind is filled with noise, the harder it becomes to sense it. The moment you stop seeking validation outside, when you stop asking the world, what should I do? That's when the inner voice becomes audible. It had always been there, waiting, patiently, like still water at the bottom of a deep well. The path towards self-belief does not begin with action. It begins with stillness. Only in stillness can you notice the quiet guidance already within you. Many fear silence because in silence the masks fall off. There is no distraction, no pretending. You are left with yourself, your truth, your flaws, your forgotten dreams, your disappointments. But you are also left with your clarity. And that clarity is not created. It is uncovered. That clarity is the inner voice. It speaks in moments when you are completely present. It speaks when you are walking alone and your mind is not racing. It speaks in the spaces between your thoughts when you are no longer trying to control everything. The voice does not give you a map. It gives you direction. It might say, I let go. It might say, a begin. It might say, not this, not this, now. Oh, it is simple, but not always easy to follow because it often points you toward discomfort, challenge, and growth. Why do people ignore it? Because it does not always offer comfort. It demands truth. It demands responsibility. It demands courage. It does not feed the ego. It does not promise shortcuts. But those who trust it learn something that cannot be taught in books or classrooms. They learn to live in alignment. And when you live in alignment with that inner voice, you stop stumbling in the dark. Even if the outer world is uncertain, the direction inside is steady. There will be temptations to turn away from this voice. You will be told what is successful, what is respectable, what is worthy. But these are all changing, day by day, culture by culture. If you follow them blindly, you will lose yourself. But if you follow the voice within, you may still be misunderstood, but you will not feel lost. You may walk a path that looks strange to others, but it will feel right to you. That is peace, not the absence of difficulty, but the presence of inner alignment. This voice grows stronger with practice, not because it becomes louder, but because your ability to listen becomes deeper. Listening is not just with the ears, it is with your whole being. It requires humility. You must be willing to admit you do not know. You must be willing to put aside what you think you should be doing and instead ask what feels true, not just temporarily, but deeply. You cannot fake this connection. You cannot imitate it. You cannot force it. You can only invite it. And that invitation comes through presence, awareness, and honesty. There is no technique more powerful than becoming fully here, free of the past, free of the future. The more you return to this place, the more you trust what arises from it. That trust becomes the foundation of self-belief. When people talk about a following their heart or a trusting their gut, they are often pointing to the same thing. It's not just emotion, and it's not just logic, and it's not just logic. It's something deeper, a knowing that does not come from reasoning, but from direct experience. It's a compass that doesn't explain itself, but proves itself over time. Each time you follow it, even when it's difficult, it brings you closer to something real. And when you ignore it, even if things look successful on the outside, you feel empty. To live by this voice requires strength, not physical strength, but inner strength. The strength to stand alone, the strength to choose what is right over what is easy. The strength to begin again, even after failure. It requires maturity because sometimes the voice will say, oh, wait. Sometimes it will say, oh, walk away. Sometimes it will say, you're not ready yet. It's too loud. You won't be able to accept that. But if you trust the voice, you will know. Even in waiting, even in stillness, something inside you is growing. Eventually, you will come to a place where this voice is not something separate. It becomes who you are. There is no longer a struggle between what you think and what you feel. You act not from impulse, but from a grounded presence. You speak not to impress, but to express what is real. You move not to compete, but because you are called to. And in that state, life flows not without challenges, but without resistance. The voice within is not a mystery. It is not reserved for the wise or the spiritual. It is available to all who are willing to become quiet. It asks for nothing except honesty. And once you listen, once you act from it consistently, it will guide you not to comfort, but to truth. And in truth, you will find your way. Most people wait for motivation to arrive. They wait for clarity to find them. They wait until everything feels alright before they begin. But the truth is, waiting weakens the mind. Waiting feeds hesitation, and hesitation becomes a habit. It's not the conditions that shape your life, it's your discipline. It's your ability to act with purpose, even when you don't feel like it, even when the mind is filled with noise, even when nothing around you seems supportive. This is the true power that transforms belief into strength, the daily discipline of the mind. Discipline is not about punishment. It is not about harshness or perfection. It is about training. Just like the body must be conditioned to grow stronger, the mind must be exercised to grow steadier. This training is subtle. It takes place in the ordinary, waking up at the same time each day, breathing with awareness before speaking. Finishing what you start, choosing patience over reaction, saying no when something distracts you from your path. These seem like small things, but over time, they become the structure of your life. The disciplined mind does not chase every thought. It does not believe every feeling. It watches. It waits. It responds. And through the stillness, clarity emerges. When others panic, you remain focused. When others get pulled by pleasure or pain, you remain rooted. This does not happen by accident. It is the result of intentional practice, repeated over days, months, and years. There will be days when motivation is missing. There will be mornings when the body is tired, the mind is scattered, and the emotions are heavy. On those days, discipline carries you. On those days, the commitment you made yesterday becomes the bridge that gets you through. Today. Discipline means keeping your word to yourself, especially when it's inconvenient, especially when no one is watching, especially when the reward is not immediate. Without discipline, self-belief remains a wish. It stays in the mind as a thought, an idea, but belief must be embodied. It must be lived. That happens through action, and action becomes consistent through discipline. A disciplined person does not wait for perfect circumstances. They create stability through repetition. Even if the world is chaotic, they move with rhythm. That rhythm becomes their peace. The greatest enemy of discipline is distraction, not just from the outside world, but from within. Every time you follow an impulse without awareness, you weaken the connection with your purpose. Every time you act from fear or comfort instead of clarity, you train yourself to forget what matters. This is why discipline must begin in the smallest moments. It is not just about grand goals. It is about what you choose in each breath, each step, each word, when you sit in stillness each day, not because you feel like it, but because you chose to. Something powerful happens. You begin to separate yourself from your reactions. You begin to see how much of your life is controlled by old patterns. And in that awareness, freedom is born. Discipline gives birth to that awareness. And awareness becomes the ground for transformation. It is easy to talk about dreams. So, it is easy to talk about dreams. It is easy to feel inspired after hearing powerful words. But inspiration fades, emotion changes, circumstances shift, only discipline remains. The one who is disciplined walks forward, slowly, steadily, without needing constant motivation. They do not depend on feeling good. They depend on clarity. They know that the path will challenge them, and they welcome that challenge. Because challenge reveals weakness. And weakness, when seen with honesty, can be strengthened. There is beauty in repetition, in doing the same thing with deeper attention, in showing up again and again, not for the result, but for the process. Each time you return to your practice, whether it's movement, stillness, study, or silence, you sharpen the blade of your mind. You build trust in yourself. You become deep and dependable to your own spirit. Discipline is also a form of love. Not the soft love that comforts and spoils, but the strong love that holds you to your highest standard. It says, you are capable of more, and I will not let you forget that. This kind of love requires effort. It means saying no to easy paths. It means delaying pleasure. It means feeling the discomfort of growth and still choosing to move forward. Sometimes people think discipline is the enemy of freedom, but the opposite is true. Without discipline, you become a slave to impulses. You are pulled by every temptation, every distraction, every fear. With discipline, you choose your direction. You take responsibility for your energy. You become free not to do whatever you want, but to do what truly matters. And yet, discipline is not rigid. It must be guided by wisdom. It must be flexible, alive, responsive. True discipline listens, it adjusts when needed, but never abandons its purpose. It respects the body, honors rest, but never forgets the goal. It holds structure not as a cage, but as a support. Like the frame of a house, it gives shape to your energy so that it does not collapse under pressure. To walk a path of growth, discipline, is like trying to sail without direction. You might move, but you will drift. You might cover distance, but you won't arrive. The disciplined person may take fewer steps each day, but each step is placed with purpose. And over time, that focus builds something lasting. There are no shortcuts. There are no secrets. There is only practice. Consistent, conscious practice. If you do it once, it changes little. If you do it twice, it feels good. If you do it every day, it becomes who you are. This is how transformation happens, not in moments of excitement, but in hours of quiet effort. So begin where you are. Choose one thing. Do it fully. Do it fully. Do it repeatedly. Watch the resistance arise. Watch the mind try to negotiate, to escape, to delay. Smile at it. Breathe. And do it anyway. That is the moment discipline is born. Not when it's easy, but when it's hard and you continue. And if you fail, do not punish yourself. And begin again. Begin with humility. Begin with strength. Begin again until beginning becomes second nature. That is the essence of discipline. Not perfection, but persistence. In the end, the disciplined person does not need to be reminded of their path. They have walked it so many times that it has become who they are. Who they are. And when belief, discipline, and action become one, nothing can stop the unfolding of true inner power. There is no path of growth without discomfort. There is no path of mastery without doubt. If you truly choose to walk forward, you will meet resistance, not just from the outside world, but from within yourself. The human mind is not designed to seek difficulty. It is wired to survive, to avoid danger, to choose comfort. But transformation is never found in comfort. It is found in challenge, and challenge always brings fear, uncertainty, and the desire to turn back. This is why fear is not a signal to stop. It is an invitation to grow. The presence of fear does not mean you are weak. It means you are at the edge of something unfamiliar. Doubt is not the enemy. It is the beginning of awareness. It shows you where your old limits are. But the one who avoids fear never discovers how much strength lives within them. The one who silences every doubt also silences the lessons that doubt can teach. Only when you are willing to face what makes you uncomfortable can you begin to stretch beyond what you think you are. Fear brings clarity. It shows you what you care about. If something scares you, it likely matters to you. It has meaning. Doubt shows you where your mind has not yet built trust. Instead of running from it, observe it. Sit with it. Ask yourself, what am I truly afraid of? What part of me is unsure? When you stop reacting and start listening, even fear becomes your teacher. But facing fear does not mean fighting it. That is another trap. To fight fear is to make it stronger. You give it energy, you resist it, and it pushes back. Instead, accept its presence. Let it be there, but don't let it lead. Move with awareness. Let courage be the guide. Not the absence of fear, but the willingness to move anyway. Courage is quiet. It is not dramatic. It is the simple act of continuing, even when you are unsure. Growth requires you to step into situations that are not comfortable. Maybe it means speaking a truth that's been buried. Maybe it means starting something you're afraid to fail at. Maybe it means leaving behind an identity you've outgrown. In each case, fear will visit you, doubt will whisper, but that is the path. You cannot walk it with full certainty. You must walk it with full presence. When you walk with presence, you don't need to know every answer. You only need to take the next step with honesty. That step might feel small, but it is everything. Because in taking that step, you are choosing growth. You are choosing to meet your fear instead of avoiding it. And every time you meet fear with calmness, it loses its grip. Every time you observe doubt without judgment, you grow in wisdom. Eventually, fear becomes familiar. Not because it disappears, but because you've learned how to walk beside it. You no longer run. You no longer panic. You acknowledge its voice and you move anyway. That is strength, not to be fearless, but to remain steady in the face of fear, to keep walking, to keep choosing, to keep showing up. This is how growth happens, quietly, gradually, from within, from within. When people think of power, they often think of influence, wealth, physical strength, or the ability to control others. But this idea is shallow. It is a reflection of how the world measures power, not how it is truly experienced. Real power is not loud. It does not need to announce itself. It does not depend on others noticing it. Real power is silent. It lives deep within. It is the ability to remain grounded when everything around you is shaking. It is the ability to remain steady when life offers chaos. Higher. It is the ability to stay true to your path, even when the world pulls you in 1,000 directions. This is the power that arises from within, not borrowed, not given, but awakened. True power is not created through effort. It is discovered through awareness. The more you learn to see through your thoughts, the more you see the illusions you've built around yourself. You believe that achieving certain things would make you strong. You believe that being liked would give you value. You believe that proving something to others would make you worthy. But in chasing all these things, you forgot to look inside. And that's where your strength was waiting all along. There is no situation in life that gives you power. No external achievement can replace the stillness of someone who knows who they are. Power is not the absence of struggle. It is the presence of clarity during struggle. It is when the storm comes and you do not run. You breathe, you observe, you respond, not with panic, not with aggression, but with calm determination. And where does that calmness come from? It comes from trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in your values. Verdammt. Trust in your training. Trust that no matter what arises, you will meet it fully. This kind of power cannot be bought. It cannot be inherited. It is cultivated slowly, patiently, through every moment where you choose to stay present instead of escaping. Through every moment where you return to yourself instead of being pulled by the noise. Each time you act from awareness instead of reaction, your inner power grows. You may not notice it immediately, but over time, it becomes your way of being. People often ask how to become unshakable. They want a method, a practice, a mindset. But becoming unshakable does not mean that nothing touches you. It means that whatever touches you, you know how to meet it. You know how to stay with it. And that can only come from the inside. It's not about controlling life. It's about developing the inner structure that can carry life, no matter what it brings. You don't need the approval of others when your own approval is enough. And you don't need the world to validate you when you've already validated your existence. You don't need to win arguments when you are no longer arguing with yourself. That is inner power. It is not built through competition. It is built through alignment. Alignment between what you think, what you say, and what you do. Most people live in fragments. Their thoughts go one way, their actions go another, their words try to cover the gap. But the one who lives with inner power has no such separation. They move with integrity. They speak with honesty. Speak with honesty. They act with precision. And this alignment creates peace. To live with this kind of power, you must be willing to let go. Let go of what you think you need to prove. Let go of the stories others have written for you. Let go of the masks you wear to be accepted. Because all of those things drain your energy. They keep you tied to the outside world, always needing something from it. But when you return inward, when you sit quietly with yourself, you begin to notice that nothing is missing. You were always whole. You were simply too distracted to notice. Do not confuse control with power. Control is about forcing things to happen. Power is about flowing with what is without losing yourself. The river does not need to fight the rocks. It flows around them. The sky does not try to hold the clouds. It allows them to pass. This is not weakness. It is wisdom. The deeper your roots, the less shaken you are by surface disturbances. The more connected you are to your own center, the less you need to cling to anything else. You don't need to speak louder to be heard. Speak clearly. Speak truthfully. Speak truthfully. Speak from stillness. You don't need to be seen constantly to matter. Show up fully, whether or not anyone is watching. You don't need to compare your pace with anyone else. Move at your own rhythm. Move with intention. Move with presence. That is the mark of someone who has discovered their real strength. And understand this, power is not about never falling. It is about how you rise. It's about falling with awareness, rising without blame, trying again without bitterness, learning with humility. This is not the power that burns quickly and fades. This is the power that grows stronger each time it is tested, because it is built from truth, not ego. You will be challenged. You will be misunderstood. You will be doubted. But when your sense of self no longer depends on being understood, when your direction no longer depends on approval, when your actions no longer depend on outcomes, then you will know that you've stepped into your own power. The world cannot give it to you, and the world cannot take it away. And the world. So be still, be honest, be consistent. The strength you seek is already within you. Let go of the noise. Let go of the need to impress. Return to the breath. Return to the breath. Return to the moment. Here again and again and again. This is where real power begins. Not in the future, not in fantasy, but right now, in the quiet depth of presence. Keep choosing this presence. Keep choosing this path. No matter how uncertain the world becomes, no matter how loud the distractions grow, your true power will remain calm, unshaken, and free. The greatest illusion that keeps many from beginning is the idea of the perfect moment, the perfect moment, the perfect plan. But perfection never arrives. It is always slightly out of reach, always dependent on one more condition, one more piece of clarity, one more sign. In waiting, days turn into months and months turn into years. The truth is simple. There is no perfect time to begin. There is only now. It's only now. This moment, imperfect, uncertain, and raw, is the doorway. The only one there ever is. The mind resists this truth. It wants certainty. It wants guarantees. It wants to know the outcome before it takes the first step. But life does not work that way. Life reveals itself only through movement. The path appears only as you walk. You don't need to have everything figured out. You need to be willing to start with what you have, from where you are, exactly as you are. That willingness is the seed. See, the journey grows from there. Beginnings are not grand. They are often quiet, hesitant, and small. A breath taken with awareness, a decision made in silence, a promise kept to yourself. These are not visible to the world, but they are everything. Because what you do today, no matter how small, plans the pattern of what you will become tomorrow. Each choice becomes a thread in the fabric of your future. There will always be excuses. The body will say, not today. The mind will whisper, you're not ready. The past will remind you of every time you failed. But none of these voices are you. They are echoes, memories, habits. You are not the thought that says wait. You are the awareness that sees the thought. And from that awareness, you can choose. You can move. You can begin. Even when the begin feels uncomfortable, even when you stumble, you are still ahead of those who are waiting. Progress is not measured by how fast you go. It is measured by your consistency, your presence, your commitment to return again and again. There is power in repetition. There is strength in small steps taken daily. The beginning may be uncertain, but the discipline of returning brings clarity. Brings clarity. Stop waiting to be ready. Readiness is not a feeling. It is a decision. You decide that your purpose is greater than your fear. You decide that now matters more than someday. You decide to meet life as it is, not as you wish it to be. That is how momentum begins, not with perfect confidence, but with honest action. So begin now. Begin humbly, begin quietly, but begin. The path will not always be easy, but it will always be real. And every real step you take brings you closer to yourself. To yourself.